All right. Good evening, everyone. This is Ron. It is Monday, September 15th, a little after 6 p.m. We'll get started and see if we have any questions. Uh, I hope so. I mean, we've had, I've really enjoyed this weekend sessions. They've been really energetic, very informative and good discussions. We talked about energy and repurposing energy and reclaiming energy. We're talking, taking a look at ourselves and being comfortable with calling ourselves and recognizing that we're Elohim and not being uncomfortable with that. We talked about some good stuff. So where are we? Anybody, any questions or comments?
And Ron,
Yes, sir.
if there are no questions or comments at this moment, I'd like to offer something.
Okay.
The climate that we are living in right now is the true climate of change. Regardless of what we have experienced after what happened to last week to Charlie,
Yeah.
the energy of that speaks volumes to us being Elohim. This was not the death of a man. Neither was it the death of an ideology. It was a death that was brought on because there was no energy to protect him anymore.
Mm.
The question is not how brutal it was, even though it was brutal. The question is, what are we going to do with the energy now that we have authority over it? The fanfare about this incident is because there is a deep-seated feeling, not only of loss to a cause, but a deep-seated feeling of vulnerability. You don't have to realize what you're experiencing to cause you to respond to it the way that the Europeans are responding to it, particularly those in this country. Yet you know something is wrong. You know something is missing. Now that the energy of that racist authority, racist concepts, but more importantly, the denigration of the representation of the cosmic mother ended. There's no longer any authority under any energy authority under their control. The cosmic mother
Mm.
is not ascending a throne. The cosmic mother is showing that she never left the throne. She never left our minds, our hearts, our soul. It was simply covered up by something unfamiliar to us, and we were seeing through our eyes because of a need to survive, more so than we were seeing through our eye. Knowing that we are Elohim says to us that now that you have this energy, not only is the question, what are you going to do with it? The question also is, are you going to hold on to it? What are you willing to sacrifice to ensure that it is never appropriated the way it was over the last 500 plus years, or 2,000 years, I'm sorry. We have done something that I don't think we have realized yet. We have talked about the word God coming from the German word gut, which means good. What we have done is change the meaning, the essence, the power of that word. What we have done is made that word mean. Elohim is simply an English word for Elohim. Our authority to change the meaning of that word is because all language, all writing emanated from us. All understandings of words came from us until they were manipulated. So whether it be German Gut or American God, it doesn't matter. It still means what we have determined it means, and that is one yet many. In order for you to see this in action, be observant of how Christianity, Islam, and Judaism move through this period of time. Be observant of how those who misappropriated the meaning of Elohim to the word God, see how they began to not only turn inward towards each other, but to recognize that the church has no more power because the God that they created no longer exists. The God who created everything that is now exercising the authority of who it is for the benefit of humanity. The energy of what happened next week drove Europeans crazy. And the reason it drove them crazy is because for the first time, they have experienced a true sense of vulnerability. And that true sense of vulnerability makes people lose their mind totally. What am I saying? Because of the fear of what happened, this mindset of the Neanderthal is reaching for straws to not only punish what those who are responsible for what happened, but also to put in place policies, laws, whatever, to keep it from repeating itself. When they turned on HBCUs, it was because, whether it's subconscious or consciously, they recognized that the nakedness of the authority they once had was there because the African had removed that energy from them. They know the source of the powerlessness that they are experiencing. They understand the source that brought this energy that they were using to an end. They know that we are the source. We talk about the source being in high places, spiritual, which is true, of course. But we neglect understanding, embracing, or seeing that we are the spiritual source. We are the source of this earth. There's no getting around it. If you were to go back over the years, 2 years if you want to, or more, and you jot down the things that we talked about and the things that were going to happen, you make note of those things, and then you look at those things that has manifested. You don't have a choice if you're searching for truth. You don't have a choice but to recognize where the power and authority is. That is, if you want the truth. I'm not uncomfortable making statements about Christianity and Islam and Judaism. I'm not uncomfortable with that. Because all three have been used to justify murder of anyone who doesn't look like them, to justify pillaging every nation on the earth. So I'm not uncomfortable at all with saying that the church was allowed to exist so that this sacred book would not be destroyed, even though it was heavily manipulated during the Dark Ages and the translation that King James ordered, even though he had his mother killed so he could protect the throne, even though he delved in demonology and was homosexual in nature, even though those King James Bible thumping people abhor those who are gay. If it were not for the ruthless desires of people like that, the scriptures, the holy book, the sacred words would no longer be available to us, and we would not be able to travel the path that we did without having to find a different avenue to seek truth. The universe gave us this book, or these books, for the express purpose of understanding who we are and translating them for the benefit of humanity as opposed to denominations. Spirituality is not denominational. Neither is spirituality something that you could control or manipulate. The greatest power on earth and the most feared thing on earth is truth. Look at the extent that they have gone to punish people who told the truth. To give you a clearer example of what I'm saying is this. The energy that they were using against us, if you can see it as a nuclear arsenal, and overnight, that nuclear arsenal does not function anymore. No matter how much the buttons are pushed, nothing happens because truth has removed the power that it thought it has. Simply because someone stood in the gap and chose to become a truth seeker. The ancestors brought us together. The ancestors are keeping us together. The ancestors have given us revelation. The ancestors have laid a pathway before us that we are traveling. And to that, for that, I'm very grateful. The homage that I pay to them for seeing us as being worthy to carry this torch for humanity is beyond explanation or understanding. When you consider all that has gone before us, the ancestors looked at us as being the ones to carry the torch for deliverance. To some, that is a heavy burden to bear. To those who know who they are, it's not a burden at all. It's simply a task that must be carried out. Is it a walk in the park? No. Because there is always interference from the humanity that we thought we were. What I mean by that is this: there's interference from the societal religions that kept us in bondage. That interference makes it difficult sometimes for us to say or to hear or even to embrace the reality that the Christianity that all of us embraced is a Neanderthal mindset. When you think like the Neanderthal, you are the Neanderthal. Because of grace, mercy, determination, we sought to move beyond the mindset of the Neanderthal and didn't even know that what we were doing. And you ask, so how did we do this? Because of your grandmama, because of your mother, your daddy, because of all of those who were solid Christians who transitioned and saw the spiritual chains that were holding us, the closeness, the interaction that we had with them. They are the ones who showed us the way without us even knowing what the way looks like. We're privileged to stand in the space that we stand. We're privileged to occupy this room of deliverance. Think about it this way. We were told that we should not mourn as those who have no hope. Well, we saw that hope was futile, empty, meaningless. So we left hope behind and entered the doorway, the room of faith. And the more we began to see our Creator and our creation, we saw that faith is simply doubt. Faith says something may happen. It doesn't say it's going to. So during our period of graduate initiation, we were allowed to enter this space of knowing. And there are no limits to this space of knowing. It is not a room. The space of knowing is the universe itself. It is a Akashic consciousness. So right now, as we are living, not existing, living in this present time, chaos abounds. But things become more chaotic when those who thought they had all of the power began to see that that power is slipping away from them. And there is no way that they can retain it, regain it, or manipulate it. It's gone. Because the ancestors broke something down to us from their Akashic consciousness. The center of power in the European world is 10 square miles in DC. You have the authority to regain, to take that energy from those who have used it for your detriment. And now we are seeing not only the value, but also results. What took place last week with Kurt was no different than pulling the bottom layer of a totem pole from the rest of it, separated from the rest of it, and the top portion begins to tumble. That's what we are seeing now. And with that tumbling becomes a sense of desperation to regain what they thought they owned, because we were not ready for such a time like this. And the preparation for Donald Trump came when we became one. When we started traveling this journey, we were being prepared for what is now. And Obama elected to ensure that Trump would be elected. So Biden was intermission. This ninth year, ninth month, has brought us to the space of victory. Don't go by what your eyes see. Be guided by what your soul knows, what your eye is experiencing. I'm done. Are there any questions or comments? Ron, you muted.
Yeah. At the very beginning, you mentioned, I didn't probably write this down the way you said it, but now that you have this energy, what are you going to do with it? Uh, I like that. That's a thought I hope you allow us to ponder, and maybe we can revisit again.
I think we can revisit it right now.
Yeah, and even the part where you say, what are you willing to sacrifice to ensure? And it's kind of how I heard it. Okay, so you didn't say it in your words, but to make sure that the energy doesn't get misappropriated again, or misused again. Those two things kind of stood out to me. And I just wonder if
That's
anybody
what I
has
said.
any comments on it.
Anyone would like to comment on that question, have questions about it? What did you experience? What thoughts went through your mind when the question was raised about what are we going to do with the energy now that we have total authority over it? What are we going to do with it? What does that mean to you? Is it that you don't know or that you're pondering?
I think everybody's pondering. It's a huge question. You know,
This is Vermel. I feel like what Ron's saying is true. It is a huge question. And if I go off my first, or you're repeating them, my first thoughts and thinking about it, my answer is whatever it takes. And what I do with the energy, the only thing that comes to my mind is that I wanted to be guided to use that energy to bring about balance, harmony, loving kindness, the very things we've been talking and learning about. But I can't say in my mind what I see because I think I would misshape it or misuse it, and I would not want to do that. That's my initial thoughts.
And because of that, it will not be available to you because of your fear.
My fear of shaping it,
Yes.
but we have talked so long about not shaping it because we don't know what it should look like.
And that's exactly why we don't shape it. But a fear that you will shape the energy that has been appropriated for you since the beginning of time.
Mm-hmm.
That fear alone creates a wall between you and that energy. I have no fear of shaping anything, none whatsoever.
Okay, I think I understand, but I'm not quite sure because are you saying we ought to be shaping now?
No, that's not what
Okay.
I have no fear of shaping anything. I'm not shaping anything, but I'm reading everything that's written in the signs of the times. When I talk about the annihilation of a man not being the real message, and say that this is the death of a culture of hate, and this is a sign, a message that the energy that has been used against us, they no longer possess it. I'm not shaping it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying what I see. Does that make sense?
That makes sense.
So, how am I able to do that? It's because I really don't ponder whether or not it's going to shape something. I speak based upon the experience that I'm having at that moment. And the experience that I'm having at this moment is an experience with the Akashic consciousness, the experience of feeling, literally feeling the touch of the ancestors in my presence. I don't seek that. It's here because I have invited it and desire it never to leave me. This experience is with me 24/7. And it's no different it being with me than it would be if it were with everybody else. You just simply believe it, know it. Don't doubt anything. If we doubt one thing about us and the power, then we are doubting that we are Elohim. Can you see that, Vermeil?
I hear that, but what I'm missing is what is it that I've said that is me doubting that power?
When you said that, I'm afraid that I may use it inappropriately. My words, not yours, but meaning the same thing, that I will use it to shape these things. When you are certain
Mm-hmm.
that you're Elohim,
Mm-hmm.
there are no fears.
When I am certain that I am Elohim,
There are no fears. You don't feel that. Tell me, let's back up.
then I would, let me see if I understand this right. If I am certain that I am Elohim, I would not have had the thought of shaping it wrong.
If you know for a fact that you're Elohim, you can
Mhm.
have that thought, but you don't give that thought life. Does that make sense?
Life as in having said what I said.
The way you said it, yes. Keep in mind,
Okay.
abracadabra means I create with words.
Mm-hmm.
When we talk about a say, that means also I bring into existence that which I speak or that which someone else has spoken. Does that make sense so far?
Yes.
So if we step back and look at how we reverence the entity that we called God when we were at church, what did we say? There is no doubt in God. God does not doubt anything. God does not fear anything. God has all power over everything in this earth. Is that not what we said?
Yes.
So take that and make application of it to you, Elohim. What would the difference be?
There should be none.
Right. That's the point I'm trying to make. And I'm not saying this to condemn you or to
Oh no,
judge you. The
I
question,
don't feel that way. I think this.
well, actually, the question is not for you. It's for everyone. Every question that comes is not for the individual who raised the question. It's for everyone because that means that there are those people who are listening with us right now, as well as the people who are in the macro, who are receiving from the macro. This needs to be there to get a clearer understanding of what we're talking about. Does that make sense to you, Vermeil?
It does, and I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Audrey,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Um, I would just add that when long time ago, we talked about being righteous, and when you are righteous and you follow your intention and you follow your righteous intention, there is no need to fear what it is your intention is. And I'm saying that because if we truly believe that we are Elohim, then, and we set our intent, then there's no need to fear that intention. There's no need to question how that intention shapes itself in the material. So I guess I'm saying, if we really know that we are Elohim, then fear doesn't play a part in anything. It's just setting your intention and then following through on the intention. And then, because as Elohim you are righteous, then your intention is righteous. So however the universe works that intention, there's no fear in it. I don't know. Do you understand what I'm trying to say?
I actually do.
Uh,
I really do.
there is no fear in your attributes.
Right.
Is that it, Audrey? Also?
Right.
Okay.
And yeah, you don't have to fear anything. You don't have to fear how it's shaped. It just will be.
Right. You can't fear yourself and be Elohim too.
That makes such clear to me, and now I understand why, Sage, you said what you said with regard to what I said. That makes very much more sense. Thank you for
Yeah.
fleshing that out for me.
Thank you with the little riddle
Thank you, Audrey.
on the end. Yeah.
You're welcome.
Any other questions or comments about that? George, you had something to say earlier.
Yeah, as good evening, everyone. As Ron was saying earlier, in terms of just pondering, what you were saying, I thought about when we talked about centering ourselves.
Mhm.
And when I thought about centering myself with regards to what I feel and know that I'm called to do, I just started reflecting again just on some scriptures, and it took me back to the beginning. And I think the one in verse 2 of Genesis 1, we've read this many times, and I think we've talked about it on several occasions, but it's something about when it says, and the spirit of Elohim moved upon the face of the waters. Now, when it says, again, God, I'm still trying to, conceptually, realize that when I say, when I hear the word God, I'm really, reflecting in terms of it being Elohim, and it is Elohim, but the spirit of Elohim moved upon the face of the waters. So where I am in the now and being able to realize what these scriptures mean, as I begin to meditate on them and to reflect on them, it's just giving me a sense of newness and an awareness how powerful, the spirit that was moving, upon the face of the waters. And so when we talk about the waters, we're talking about the universe. But again, at this particular point, in divine timing, I think that again, these words that we have read is now, I think, having a deeper meaning when we talk about it in verse 2. And it talked about darkness and how we have looked at darkness in the past. And now that we see, how powerful darkness is when it comes to the Akashic consciousness, and again, how powerful that is. So when we, think about the thoughts that we have learned in the past and we begin to see it in the newness of the power of what the word is giving us, I think is just something that I truly appreciate because it just has so much more um, energy than what it had before. I just want to share those thoughts if that again resonates with anyone. But I think again, it's just, the spirit and the soul of Elohim is just so powerful. I'm done.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Questions, comments? The second thing, Ron?
Um, yeah, yeah. What are you willing to do? What are you willing to sacrifice? That caught my attention too. To give your all. What does your all look like? What are you willing to do to make sure that what we have, this journey we've set upon, we've started, that we completed? And those are my words. That's not how you said it, but
Before I address that, Ron, I would like to ask if what does that mean to some of you guys?
Again, if I may, I mean, for me, personally, it starts all with me. It starts with the I am that I am. And I think that in my, desire to be the light that I am, I feel that it's my responsibility to let my light shine in truth and in loving kindness in a way that is not being judgmental towards others, but is being able to share the truth. And if the truth is what, I've come to know in terms of the principles of Mayat, or being able to understand, our African history, and being able to communicate in a way where whomever I may come in contact with, I think that's not a challenge, but I think it's just something where I'm at peace now to be able to express myself without, getting into argumentation, a bit, because as Elohim, I mean, again, I'm just grateful to be able to know that that's my charge, whether it's at home, I go out in the community, whether I, go to, any of my children's events, or wherever I may be, I am Elohim, and my thing is to bring out the greater goodness, in humanity and for humanity. And so let the truth be, shared in a way where it's in loving kindness, if that makes sense at all. But that's how I feel. I think those are areas where we all go to besides our home. And how am I letting my light shine, or what energy am I putting out there that's drawing people to at least be open to the truths that I know to be, and feels I need to share. I'm done.
Thank you.
Rev, this is Charles. Now, I
Mhm.
might not, do it right or say it right, but I
Well,
like the way George said it.
Charles, say it the way you say it. Don't
Yeah.
worry about that, okay?
All right. And see, I was sitting here thinking about what Moses did when he seen the burning bush. It frightened him for a little while until he kept walking to the burning bush. And when our father started talking to him and told him that he was standing on holy ground, remove his shoes. And during the time he was talking to him, he was telling him he would have to go to Pharaoh, and so he can free his people and tell Pharaoh to free his people. He was scared because he didn't want to do that, and he was then come up with a lot of excuses about doing that. And then I guess he had his brother to talk for him, but anyway, he asked the father, who will I say that sent me? And he said, tell them I am what I am that sent you. And when you had said that question about the energy, the energy is the I am. And you walk with him, that energy would shape the way the I am will want it to shape. But as long as you believe and do what he said do in any aspect. It ain't you, it's the energy that I am is working in you to make the energy to perform the thing that it was supposed to perform.
Charles,
So I heard all that in George. Yes.
you are the energy of I am. It's not I am working through you. It is you fulfilling your journey in this earth, fulfilling your purpose in this earth. It is not you being separated from the energy of I am. That's exactly who you are. There is no separation between the energy of Charles and the energy of the cosmic mother who birthed Charles. There is no separation between that. When you speak of the hesitation for drawing out. All of us have had that hesitation. And what that looks like with us is what we know to be the truth. Are we willing to respond to questions from those who are still involved in the churches or Christianity that we were once involved in? Are we willing to speak the truth? So the idea of drawing out speaks to the concept, the reality of replacing the lie with truth and understanding that you are the light that the moth is drawn to. But you have to be able to speak to the questions without hurting or destroying the person who raised the question. And if you are uncomfortable with the question and don't think you are able to do that, then don't respond to the question. Tell them that you know where they can get answers and direct them to where we are. Does that make sense, Charles?
I love it, man. Yes, it makes sense.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Anyone else? Audrey?
Can would you ask the question again, Ron?
Well, two things. When Pastor started off, he made a couple of statements and that got my attention. One of them was he talked about the energy and he said, now that you have this energy, what are you going to do with it? And I wrote that down. And the second one was, what sacrifices are you willing to make sure it doesn't get misused the way it did before? So those two things kind of stuck with me the whole time he was talking about the other things. It just came back to me when he finished.
Okay, I wanted to comment on the second part.
Okay.
Because when the question is asked, what sacrifices are you willing to make? I mean, that word is kind of triggering because it's something that we always heard in religious setting. You know, what are you willing to sacrifice?
Yeah.
Blah, blah. So it's kind of triggering because it implies giving up something or not being able to do something that you want to do.
Is there another word you put there?
My contention is that we don't have to give up or sacrifice anything.
Yeah.
We have to have the right motivation, and we have to have the right intention. But, you know, like the scripture says, you know, and I can't quote it exactly because I haven't looked at it in a long time. You know, if you do this, such and so, then all these things will be added to you.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no actual sacrifice involved. I mean, in terms of how you see yourself and your connection to the Creator. Because if you see yourself as Elohim and you feel the connection to the Creator, some things are very easy to just put aside. And it feels like no sacrifice at all.
And maybe there's a change
So
on the word.
I think there's no real sacrifice in terms of the way religion means it.
Yeah, yeah.
It's not. It's not. The thought that was when I raised that question, it was based upon this thought. Are you willing to change the way you speak in order to be reflective of you being Elohim? Are you willing to walk away from anything that pushes you to prioritize it over who you are? So maybe sacrifice, what it is based upon how we used it in Christianity. But I've taught for years that sacrifice doesn't mean that you give up something. It was a wrong interpretation even in Christianity, because even in the scriptures, sacrifice means that you present something. You present something in reverence of God. So it's not you personally giving up something as much as it is you are willing to do whatever it takes, inclusive of changing the way you speak, in order for you to be, or to hold on to rather, the reality of you being Elohim. Because there are times when people say that they are blah, 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 but when the rubber meets the road, they're like Peter was. I don't know him. What are you talking about? That kind of thing. I'm done.
Okay, yeah,
Huh.
I agree with you. And I just wanted clarification on that word sacrifice in terms of
And I'm glad you brought
what
it
it
up.
really means.
I'm glad you brought it up because we do have those Christian thoughts in our minds. They're not going anywhere, you know? So it's necessary for us to do what you just did, Audrey, to seek clarity. Thank you.
Someone else about to speak.
I would get ready to say, Pastor, because I understand what Audrey was saying, and I'm glad she did bring it out. But in my mind, I was saying, how do your will plays into this?
Your will is your desire. And it plays a major part in this. Because without your desires, you will never know who you are. Because society has presented information, understandings to you that keeps you from knowing who you are or keeps you afraid of acknowledging who you are. Especially Christianity, telling you that it's blasphemous for you to say that you're Elohim, that you are God. Blasphemous when the scripture is contrary to what they're teaching. I created you in my image and likeness. I said that you are God. That's the church is erroneous in its teachings when it says that's blasphemy. Blasphemy does not even mean what you say about anybody. Has nothing to do with that at all. Blasphemy speaks to you separating yourself from the power source. So we have lived the lives of blasphemous people by virtue of embracing Christianity. We were not aware of it. And mercy kept us in the space of our desires to be one with our Creator. We were not aware of it. But when we look at it now, we were actually separating ourselves from the power source, from the source that created us. And now for us to doubt who we are again separating ourselves from that power source. Because to be honest with everyone and myself as well, no one has power in the church. God has zero power in the church. Holy Spirit has zero power in the church. The only one who has power in the church are men. If a man say a woman can't preach, she doesn't preach. Men. The Spirit is here. Why is it, if the Spirit is here in terms of church projections of that, why is it that it doesn't arrive until you look at your musician and they start playing music as you approach the end of your message? That's theater. Are you understanding what I'm saying? The Holy Spirit, the Spirit that is separated for a specific reason, meaning that you are that Spirit that is separated for a specific reason. And the specific reason that you are separated is for you to fulfill this journey of knowing who you are and recognizing that though we talk about Mayat as principles, is actually cosmic law. So this idea of the spirit, we have to change the way we think about that, because there is no invisible entity that shows up at an appointed time for us to accept something that is not true, or to cause us to respond in that way to something that is antithetical to what the scriptures say. The scripture doesn't say, ain't he all right? So why do we respond to that? Because of the theatrics of it. It's the music that is the theatrics of it. I don't have to change the tone of my presentation in order to touch you where you live, or touch you in that space that you were created to recognize. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So,
Go ahead.
so then, we have, through religion, been taught blasphemous concepts and precepts. And through religion, we continuously get blasphemous concepts and precepts because denial of the feminine aspect of the source of all creation is blasphemous in and of itself.
Yes.
When we don't understand that, that is part of what keeps us that's part of how we separate ourselves from the source of creation. And so denying that women can preach, and denying that a woman her only job is staying in the home and blah blah blah, all of those are blasphemous kinds of things, because it keeps humanity, if they buy into that, from embracing the totality of who and what the energy of Elohim is. And so I cannot be Elohim. I cannot embrace that totality. And so how do I keep it? It's difficult. It's difficult now to think, as I agree with you, sacrifice is not a taken away from. Sacrifice is a drawing near to. It's doing whatever it takes to stay in the path that I know that I am. Stay in the essence of who I am. That's not a sacrifice, as you say, of giving up something, because we've already had that wrestle. We've already wrestled with the self. Like Jacob, we've already wrestled with that, all of those past things that would tend to draw us back into material and make us feel encumbered with burdens and baggage. And we've already cleared that hurdle. And so as Elohim, we're simply called to just be what we are. Just be it. Just walk. Just experience it and I mean, it's very difficult for me to go back, because that would be the blasphemous thing, having been enlightened and then to turn away. Consciously make a decision to turn away, which makes it even worse. So that second part of that question that was asked is it's kind of hard for me to see, other than making a conscious decision to turn your back on who you are and what you know you are. I don't see that. It's hard for me to envision that. And for individuals who have not come to that knowledge of Elohim or self, I can understand to some extent why they cannot. I don't know of anything another way to say it, but meet the mark, hit the mark, hit the mark of being who they were purposed to be, because they haven't had that struggle. They haven't gotten past that struggle yet. They haven't reconciled themselves yet. They haven't made a decision yet that this is who I am. And it means that I embrace feminine as well as masculine aspects in men and women who have both aspects of those, not only physically, but more importantly, spiritually. So it's hard for me to answer that question, because it's hard for me to see myself going back into that, if that resonates.
It does. So there is nothing to go back to, because now the lie is dead. So it doesn't exist anymore in terms of what you know the truth to be. But then there is something else. There's the scripture, like in Psalms, I think 83. So what's wrong with you? Why are you wrestling with all this stuff? People are telling you that you are a man, you are human, you are not divine at all. Why do you believe that? I have told you. I say that you're Elohim, but yet you have chosen to believe what men have told you about yourself, rather than to believe and embrace what the one who brought you into existence has told you about yourself. Can you see that? Why do you accept that? If I tell you that you are ignorant simply because, well, let me put it this way. No prominent Black woman has the brain power to make any decisions. Why would you believe that when I have told you that you are Elohim? I say that. That's what the self-existent one says. Is that not more powerful now, seeing it from this perspective?
That question was not rhetorical, and the answer is yes. That is much more powerful even now.
Yeah.
But not only as it relates to women, but it relates to anything. Like your daddy wasn't nothing, your mama wasn't nothing, and you're not gonna be that either. All of that stuff.
Yeah.
Anything that demeans that means the person itself is it should be dismissed, should not be entertained, and I'm so happy we're putting this in the macro because our children need to get this. I mean, not only we need to get it, but our children need to get it too, because they are the teachers of their children and their children and their children. So even more so, it needs to be in the macro. It needs to ring clearly. It needs to resonate clearly. It needs to vibrate with a force that cannot be denied, that people can feel it, literally experience it, in order to understand. And it's only the experience. It's only in the experiencing of it that you can understand when your body just literally vibrates. And I don't mean your body, I mean your spirit. Yeah. Although we say it's confined to the body, but it's bigger than when your spirit just literally vibrates with that truth that cannot be denied, and that's what I see that we are doing in the macro, and that's what I see that so many people are capturing that and trying to understand that and trying to make that part of themselves worldwide, not just here, worldwide. So. We just have to keep on keeping on.
Yes.
And Rip, I appreciate what you said. What you said, I didn't see it. It just hit my soul. And what Barbara had said about your daddy and about the mama thing, and you just like I've been through that. All that what y'all saying and been talking about, it just hit my soul because I've been through it.
A lot of us been through that you ain't nothing. I went through it.
Yeah.
I went through it in school with teachers telling me I was nothing. I've been through that. But I'm glad I went through it. I'm glad I experienced that pain. I'm very grateful for that. I also am grateful for the difficulty it was for me to pastor the first group of people that the Creator gave me. How I was mistreated, I'm glad for every bit of that. Every step of the way. The reason I'm so glad about it is because it made me who I am. When you are hurt, it either means that you're going to hurt other people or you're going to make sure that you defend people to keep them from being hurt. The struggles that we've had, the issues that we have faced, even during those times when we did not see a way out, we got out of it anyway by going through it. And we are who we are because of those issues, not in spite of. Does that make sense, guys?
Oh, yeah, it does.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
You are. So when you are faced with something that you think is extraordinary, remind yourself that the circumstance is not extraordinary. You are. The circumstance is there to show you how extraordinary you are. You are not a mere man. You're not a mere human. You are not just an ordinary being. The circumstance shows you who you are if you will listen.
That's good. That's good.
Thank you. Questions or comments? I'm done.
One question. I thank God for you bringing out that blasphemy thing, because everyone in church, and I ain't saying everyone, I'm just saying like they going through blasphemy because of some pastors, and they not understanding, and they ain't never sitting, and well, it's just like you read something, and then you're trying to ask your pastor about it, and they'll turn around and tell them a lie just to keep the money flowing. And so I just thank God for everyone and everybody.
Let me say this, Charles, about what you're saying.
All right.
I grew up in church all my life, just like most of us, if not all of us. And one of the things I heard frequently, especially when I started preaching and pastoring, there were a group of men who people talked about, and the people who spoke about them were preachers. And they said that so-and-so and so-and-so went to Benedict, to major in whatever. But when they saw they were failing, they became preachers because they didn't want to be embarrassed coming home because they failed. What does that say? That says that you don't have to know anything to be a preacher, just be able to read the scripture and sing a hope. Is that not what it says? So how do you get into that? That you went to be to major in biology and you could not make it, and you were getting ready to be sent home, and you changed your major to theology. That's what we are continuing with to this day, because those very men whose names were called, and sometimes in their presence, are the ones who have influenced the preachers who are standing in the pulpit today. I'm done. For real, for real.
Well, I don't want to leave anybody out. I think this has been a very special evening, one that we will probably ponder all week. But I don't want to make sure, don't want to leave anybody out if you have any questions or comments before we get off. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Pastor.
Thank you guys for your energy, presence,
Yes.
and support.
Thank you, everyone.
Everything.
Yes,
Thank you.
All right. Have a great week.
Bye.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye, everybody.
Everyone have a good week. Bye-bye.
Thank